What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Better Biomed. Folks, today I'm going to tell you guys a story about something that happened. I wasn't sure if I was going to tell this story or not, but the fact of the matter is one person ended up changing several people's lives, and it's because one person cared. And that alone is worthy of the story. So here we go. Well, as you guys know, just a few weeks ago, I was over in Temecula, California, and it was the MD Expo, and we, like many other vendors, we ship our booths. So if you guys are unaware of how things normally happen, a week or so before the event, everything's packed up into large crates and is shipped. And you're basically putting tens of thousands of dollars worth of liability on the line with a gamble, and it was shipped to a FedEx receiver's office. And it was at the FedEx receiver's office for one day. And mind you, this is one of those shipping places that says it's a FedEx receiver's office, yada, yada. It was there for one day. They said they tried calling the number on the telephone, and they didn't get through to anybody. So they did a return to sender. Now, mind you, everybody knows full well that a container for a trade show, if you guys haven't seen what they look like, it's a large plastic container. They're very special and they're very expensive to ship. It costs hundreds of dollars to ship these things. So doing a return to sender with minimal effort, you're screwing a lot of people, and you kind of know you're doing it. But it's one of those things where people just say, hey, it's not my responsibility. This car is following me. It's so weird. So a lot of people are path of least resistance human beings, as you're going to find out in this story. And the people that owned and ran this particular place were some of those people. They just did a return to sender after one phone call of not reaching anybody. So we get to Temecula. We find out that our booth is not going to be there. The booth isn't there. That is detrimental news if you are a vendor that spent, $10,000 to be there. It's incredibly disheartening. There's a lot of people that go to those trade shows to talk with us, to learn. And if all your equipment and your supplies and everything are in these containers, you're letting a lot of people down. And that's the way I see it anyway. And I'm pretty sure that's how my boss and those guys seen it too. But we are absolutely relentless. And this time it really paid off. So we got there, we got in the hotel. We immediately went to go and get our bags or the booth. It wasn't there. Holy cow, what do we do? Tomorrow morning is the supposed setup and everything for this trade show. So first off, we tried not being incredibly angry at the establishment because they put minimal effort into this. But anyway, my boss does something that is absolutely amazing. I did other videos on it. And that is that they put the Apple tracker tags inside the boxes. Every single box that BC ships out, it gets an Apple tracker tag in it because, these are pretty expensive items and they're vital. And I think that's amazing that they do that because he can see on his phone that the boxes are over in Oceanside. Oceanside, it's 45 minutes to an hour away. You guys that are in California, you know about traffic. It is what it is, but that's okay. So we get off the plane, we find out that our booth isn't there. We accept the fact that it's going to be over in Oceanside. We can see it on our phone. We spend the next 2 hours contacting FedEx because if it is return to sender, and it's in Oceanside, which is their large depot, then that means that what they're going to do is they're packing it on a semi truck, probably either that night or the next morning, and it's going back to St. Louis. And that is extremely frustrating because you know where it's at, but you know it's probably because FedEx, they don't goof around, you don't get that big and that successful by just, messing around. They're very expedient usually. So everything had to happen that night, that afternoon, within the next couple hours probably. So we spent, God, it was a couple hours. It was one of the most frustrating things in my life because if you know where something is and all you got to do is get somebody on the phone that has a tracking number on it. Now that I know that there's also tracking tags in the bag, they especially know where it's at because there's a tracking tag in the box. They know it. They can see it. They have an RFID tag right there. So they know exactly where your boxes are and booths are. Anyway, people kept telling us there's nothing they can do. And it was extremely frustrating because nobody wanted to help. Everybody was saying that we have to go. I was asked probably 4 or 5 times, what was the address of the place it was shipped to in Temecula? And I told them, and I usually have a reasonable temper, guys. Reasonable. Let's go that far. I told them, you've already asked me that 3 times. I told you not only where it was going to, but the fact that it's not there. I can see that it's in Oceanside. You guys told me that you can also see that it's in Oceanside. So why does it matter where it was getting shipped to? It's no longer there. It's in Oceanside. You guys have a tracking number. Put a stop order on it, which means, do not ship. Hold it at that facility. They just would not do it. They would not do it. So anyway, what we ended up doing is the three of us hopped in a car and we drove an hour away. We went over to Oceanside and we went to the large warehouse. Okay. It was a gamble. And I told my boss that I would have lost that bet. Based on our experience thus far, nobody cared. Nobody really wanted to put in the extra effort to help. Us driving an hour away to a high security warehouse was not going to be successful. It was going to be a waste of our time. That's what I was thinking in my head. But, internally, we always, we think differently than how we act. And all of us were like, let's do it. Let's get in the car right now. Let's go and see if we can do this. But I would have placed a bet in a heartbeat that that was going to be a waste of our time. Well, anyway, we get there to this FedEx facility. It's a gated area, extremely high security, like very high. You have to go through metal detectors and stuff. But anyway, there's this one little closet. I kid you not, it's like a closet. You go up there, you open this door, you go into this little room, and there's a telephone and a sliding little pane of window. It was maybe like 8 foot by 8 foot. It was like a closet. And there's a telephone. And it rang and rang. And then finally, this girl or this lady picked up the phone. And we said, hey, we know that our bags are here. We can see it. And it's like, nobody's willing to help us. Can you please just help us out with this? She says, give me the tracking numbers. Let me see what I can do. She gets the tracking numbers. She comes back to the phone like 3 minutes later. And she says, yeah, they're here. She's like, give me about 15 minutes. I'll bring them out for you. It's the craziest thing. So out comes this Latina girl who's in a dress, mind you, in a warehouse in a dress. And do you guys ever have one of those situations where you know that a place would fail if it wasn't for that one person? That's what this felt like. There's one person that was there that cared. And because she cared, we did not end up losing thousands of dollars. because that one person went and dug through a whole pile of stuff, came back 15 minutes later with our box, and they even helped us load them up. This little electric like car, she drove all the way through the security checkpoint, all the way to the parking lot, and helped us load them up and whatnot. And then she turned and left. Didn't want to tip or anything. She just said, it's just doing my job. And I'll tell you what, right now, the phone rang and rang, and she's the one person that answered the phone. If anybody else answered that phone, I'm almost certain we wouldn't have had our packages. It's because the overall mentality of the people that I seen leaving, they're like, oh, F this place, I'm done with work for the day. There's people like yelling stuff out, even though we're customers, we're sitting there by the front gate. They walked right by us, like screaming profanities, like F this place and stuff. They were doing all this while we were just standing there waiting for our box. I was like, nah, it's looking even worse and worse for us. But that one lady who just happens to be like wearing a dress. I don't know why that's so odd to me, because you're in a warehouse and you're wearing a dress. But she answered the phone. She did the effort to track it down, and she handled business and got us our stuff. That one person cared. And the root summary of this is that, guys, one person caring affected countless amount of people. Because, what you guys don't know is that after we got our boxes and we went through the trade show and stuff, those boxes were then mailed to South Carolina for the next trade show. So it's not like, they're just willy-nilly going back to St. Louis. No. There's a schedule for these type of supplies, and they have to go here and then they have to go there. So it technically would have messed up more than one trade show. And all our test equipment and everything that we would have been there, to give demos on stuff, it would have all been gone. All gone. So guys, put tracker tags in your bags, in your luggage, and in boxes that you ship. And if anything, be that one person, guys. Be that one person that cares. There's too many other people in this world that don't care. And just imagine you can be that one person that makes a difference. And I'm so thankful that one lady answered the telephone, because if it was somebody else, it would have cost us thousands of dollars. Nobody cared. Thanks for watching, guys.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below with what you'd like to see in future videos.